Are home sellers in serious trouble in the Austin area? Lots of factors point to yes. Let's talk about it. Jeremy 1992, your favorite Austin realtor. Today I'm going to actually go through the Goldman Sachs article a little bit, talk about what we're actually seeing, compare that to the Austin housing market, and what buyers are facing when they're looking at your home to purchase. Right now, we see almost 13,000 homes on the market. Days on market for home sellers is now up over 60 days in the Austin area and 4 months of inventory. This is a lot. So for home sellers in the market right now, we need to look at a few of the factors that are happening, because if you are getting ready to sell your home in the beginning of 2024, there's some things you should really know. And if you're trying to get your home on the market before the end of the year, there's also some things you should know. And if you're a home buyer, we're going to talk about what's affecting you. So sellers, pay attention to this video, and buyers, this is also a really, really good video to pay attention to. So let's get started. So what's really interesting about the Austin home market right now is that we're at 12,400 homes on the market. Now, Ian and I on this channel and on the live streams have talked about how that is such a high amount of inventory, more than we've ever seen. But here's where buyers are struggling to make the numbers make sense. And it's illustrated very well in the Goldman Sachs article, is that prices still year over year for all of the market, even though they're predicting it to drop 0.8% for the entire market, is still up 4% almost the entire year. So prices are still elevated. And if we look at this chart that I've charted for the Austin area, since 2019, prices have gone from 353 up to now. We had a huge peak at 667 here, but now down to 536. That's still a 42% increase from 2019 till now. And if we look at that though, there's something to pay attention to here, is that if we look at 2019, the year growth from beginning of the year till December was actually 13%. If we equate this 41% over the 5 years, that's an average of 8%. So even 2019 was a pretty good year for home growth. So this is why a lot of real estate agents in the Austin market, while we're seeing a lot of things happening, are still saying that, hey, look, pricing your home really high is a good idea. It's a bad idea. Don't do that. But that's why they're saying that the Austin economy is still so strong when you're buying a home. So it's something to think about when you're buying a home or selling a home, that it is more about the time in the market versus timing the market. So something to think about there. But when sellers are here for the last 2 years, that you're getting over list price offers, you're getting multiple offers, buyers are paying for everything. And now we sit here at 4 months inventory, maybe really a year removed and from the pandemic, and we're seeing interest rates that the Fed has pushed up to 8%. Yes, we are at 8% right now for buyers looking at your home. That means buyers are looking at a couple things. They're going, look, and I didn't even talk about the most important thing. In that time, property taxes also went up. So even though you maybe bought a home in 2019, the property taxes have gone up year over year over year. On one of my properties, it actually shows like a calculator of what they think the pricing is, and then what the TCAT actually has my home priced at. They have my home priced at $528,000 as one of my rentals, yet the value of the home, like their ARV, their actual value calculator, shows my home between 424 and 448. So it is it's still a $100,000 difference. So a lot of homeowners that are getting ready to sell are looking at that fact. Now here's the other thing that home sellers are facing, is that a lot of home sellers are equity rich, which means that they have a lot of built up equity in their homes. So if they price a home for a certain price, they don't want to get lower than that price. But the buyers on the other side are going, hey, look, I want to buy that house, but I need some concessions. I need you to either drop your price or give me some concessions to offset the fact that these interest rates are so high. I mean, if we actually did the math, if you bought a home in 2021, even at a higher rate, if we actually did the math at a higher price, so let's say homes are on the market right now, our median price is $536 at 8%. The mortgage is still almost higher than if you bought the home at $660 and got a 2.5%. In fact, if we did that math, it's actually better to buy the home for more with a lower interest rate. So you have to think of that as a home seller. Now, what I've seen a lot of home sellers do is they don't want to lower their price any further because, look, over the last 3 years, they've heard that prices are going through the roof, multiple offers, all that stuff. So when they go to sell their home, they're looking at the equity going, no, I'm not going to give you $10,000 in concessions. I'm not going to give you the price below where comps sold 2 months ago. The reality is that even this chart that I showed you, if we go back to January up to May, prices are back down to January prices, about 530, 536. So we've already got prices back down to January. So if you're a home seller, look at the comps back in January. Don't look at the comps 3 months ago. Typically, when agents go and they price a property, they look at the last 3 months. Well, we can't do that in a declining market. So when homeowners look at the pricing and then they get an offer for way less, they're almost offended. Now, the other reason, and the Goldman Sachs article actually illustrates this quite well, is part of the reason we don't have as many buyers in the market. Look, we have 12,000 units in the Austin area, but we have a lot less buyers. And partly the reason why we have a lot less buyers, if you are one of those people that got locked in at 2.5% interest rate, you're not really willing to go buy, let's say you got it locked in at 2.5% interest rate at $500,000, and now your move up is into the 850 range, right? Well, do you really want to move up to 8% if you're at 2%, right? So that's part of the reason why you're not seeing as many buyers in the market. But I've also seen this as well with sellers recently. They're reluctant to sell at the lower prices. They still want that higher price. And this has been, I think, a strain because we've written offers with our personal clients on properties that were like the comps supported a lower price, right? They priced it really high. We'll talk about realtors in this in a second because realtors are part of the problem here for good reason. Yes, a real estate agent saying things about other real estate agents is fun. So part of the problem is that home sellers aren't paying attention to the actual comps that are available right now in a declining market. On top of that, you have agents that are desperate to get listings. Now, I'm not saying every real estate agent's desperate to get listings, but look, 100,000 realtors have left the market recently. So I think real estate agents do bear some responsibility on some of these, is that real estate agents will kind of go along with whatever a seller says just to get the listing. That way they get a sign in the yard and potentially a sell. And then you price reduce, price reduce, price reduce. You know, I've had several times where a seller will say, hey, you know, X will list this for $25,000 more and sell it for $25,000 more. And I go, well, the price isn't there at $25,000 more. The price is here. It needs to list here. Then a home lists, it sits on the market forever, and then they end up selling way lower than what I actually said it was going to list at. And then they don't call me because they're embarrassed that they were wrong. And it's not a wrong or right, it's just being able to read the actual market. Look, we're still in a market that if you underprice a home, you will get multiple offers. Here's the other problem with a lot of the listings that I see is that sellers aren't taking the time because, you know, 2 years ago, you could just put a house in the market in any condition and it would sell. Well, buyers right now are going to new construction, they're going to newer homes versus buying resale homes. And let me explain why. Because if I go to a resale home that needs work, that needs an AC, that needs all of these things, I'm not going to fix them as a buyer. I want to negotiate in the price for the seller to fix those things. Now look, that is something I'm seeing a lot. I mean, Eileen, my wife, just negotiated a deal that they negotiated for a new roof, they negotiated for closing costs, and they got a lower price on the home because the comps actually supported a lower price, which is part of what we're seeing. But some of these agents, they don't, you know, necessarily give their clients that information because they want to list the home. And I'm not saying every agent's that way, and then there's a lot of really great agents out there. Just make sure you work with the right one and you guys fully understand your pricing. So buyers want to go to new construction for a couple of reasons. So if they're looking at your house, they have more options. So there are more options in the market, especially here in the Austin area. Now, nationally, that's not the case, but that's why we're seeing so many homes sit. If I'm a buyer, I can go to new construction. The builder is going to give me a 5.75% interest rate. They're going to give me a bunch of incentives, and I'm going to probably buy that new construction home over your home that's 5 years old, 3 years old, 10 years old, because I'm told that I'm going to get a warranty. I'm told I'm going to get all these things. And I just did a video, you can watch it right here, about how that's not actually the case. There, you could have issues buying new construction, that resale could be a better option for you. Anyway, back to the point, is that buyers would rather go to new construction because they get a lot more incentives. So you as a homeowner need to either offer a lot of incentives, price the home right, or make it look really competitive to new construction. All of that costs money right now, and that's not cheap. So you're seeing higher property taxes, more inventory, and less buyers. That is the state of the Austin market right now at the end of the year. What is it going to be the beginning of next year? I mean, the Goldman Sachs article that I'm referencing right here says that be prepared for elevated rates. And they're basically saying the market's going to be flat at about 1.2% increase for the entire year, around there. It's not going to be a very high increase. In the Austin area, it is still possible that we see the end of the year positive. I've talked about that, but it's not guaranteed. We could still see a negative year over year by December. So what if you are getting ready to sell your home? Does any of this resonate? Does it sound like what you're seeing? If you're a buyer in the market, are you seeing this right now? I can tell you the buyers we're working with right now really want a really good rate. So they want closing costs to buy down the rate. They want a lower price because they're anticipating the market to continue to drop. Do you think the market's going to continue to drop? You know, Patrick David put out a video saying that this is the time to sell. They should be buying in a couple of years. I'm going to do a reaction video of that because I feel like that could get a lot of people in trouble in the future. That's not necessarily the best route for everyone to follow. Everybody needs to look at their own situation, their own plan. The other thing is, foreclosures, we may see more foreclosures on the market, and especially in Austin, there's a lot of layoffs happening, so we may see more foreclosures. So that's why some of these buyers may be passing on your home too. So are you going to make your home look great? Are you going to price it right? Or are you going to let it sit on the market? Drop a comment below. We'll see you in the next video.